What's up everyone? This is going to be the Season 9 Caustic guide. It's been a long time since I've made a guide on Caustic, and I think this will be the most in-depth one. In this video, I will explain and show you how to dominate with Caustic. I will go over his abilities so newer players understand everything, and I will show the more experienced players a ton of helpful tips and tricks for Caustic. I do have close to 20,000 kills on Caustic across 2 platforms, so I know how to play him very well. There is a slight chance Caustic will be changed, probably a buff, at the end of the month when they should have their collection event / mid-season update, but I will get into that later in the video. There will be timestamps in the video if you wish to skip ahead to what's relevant to you. For you newer players, let's go over the basics real quick. Caustic is the Toxic Trapper. His passive allows for him to see in his Nox gas, which is a bit of a joke of a passive at the moment, but more on that later. His tactical allows for him to place out a total of 6 gas canisters. These traps, when activated, spew his Nox gas to enemies, and it's done so in a fairly small radius within the trap. And his ultimate is the Nox gas grenade. It instantly deploys a cloud of his toxic gas that can do a lot of great things for you and your teammates to assist you in winning fights or buying time and space. Caustic is not affected by his gas or other enemy Caustic's gas, which is unique to most legends in Apex. Fuse, for instance, takes damage from his own abilities, and Watson is still affected by enemy Watson fences. The greatest counter to a Caustic is another Caustic. Now let's take a deep dive into Caustic's abilities. As I said before, Caustic can have 6 traps out all at once, but he's only able to place 3 of those traps out immediately. After the 3rd trap, the 4th trap is on a 23-second cooldown, and then the 5th trap is going to have a 25-second cooldown, and then for the 6th trap, it's going to go back to a 23-second cooldown. It takes about 2.5 seconds for the trap to inflate fully and for it to be able to not be shot out. Caustic traps can only be defused if you shoot the bottom yellow part of the trap, unless you catch the trap within the first 2 to 3 seconds of inflation. Then you're able to shoot the trap anywhere to defuse it. Really good players know when and where to shoot out the Caustic traps and do it quickly, leaving Caustic in some tough spots. Once a trap has been activated, the gas will tick for 13 seconds until it disappears. Caustic's ultimate is on a 3.5 minute cooldown right now, which is one of the longest cooldowns for an ultimate in the game. The gas cloud for Caustic's ultimate lasts for 23 seconds. Now this was changed back in the middle of Season 8, along with a damage nerf to his gas. His gas only does a flat rate of 5 damage per tick, and 5 damage per tick basically means 5 damage per second. Now, Caustic's gas may be the weakest we've ever seen it in terms of damage, and we're going to talk more about that here in a second. Now, I know I just threw a ton of numbers at you, but it's important to know how long his gas is good for and how long it takes for you to have your ultimate and for you to have all of your traps available. Now I will be going over how to properly use Caustic. His gas is not meant to be the sole thing that kills enemies. It's meant to assist you and your teammates in those fights. The best way to utilize Caustic gas is to be fighting your enemy in the gas. They will have a hard time fighting in it. It will slow them down. They won't be able to see as good as you can in it, but they can see better than they used to. So if you kind of got back into Apex, let's say around Season 7, 8, or even Season 9, there was a change made in Season 7 where people can see in Caustic gas. So that's why his passive is kind of useless at the moment. Now obviously they can't see as good as Caustic can, but they still can see better than they ever could, because Caustic's gas used to have a blurred effect to opponents. So I know a lot of Caustics are mad that the gas doesn't do a lot of damage, and I'm right there with you. But it is a thin line between everyone complaining about Caustic because they're dying to the gas and then the gas being useless. The gas is still pretty strong if you have traps set up in the right places and at the right times. So I encourage you to be constantly placing traps down throughout your fights. Whether you're holding zipline buildings, placing them on each floor, placing them where you think your opponents are going to walk into. And I will say that Caustic will always do better indoors because of the enclosed areas, and close combat for Caustic is generally the way to go, so you can capitalize when your opponents are in your gas. So if I'm in a building, for example, I'm always placing traps down where I think the enemies may go for 2 reasons. One, I'll know when the trap is activated or if they destroy it, which kind of reveals their location in and of itself. And 2, if they hit my trap and I'm close, I can pounce on them. And in those couple seconds where they're messed up from the gas, I hopefully have a brief advantage over them. Make no mistake about it though, caustic gas can be really annoying to fight against, especially if you're backed into a corner. But the damage it does now, and the fact that enemies can see through it better than they ever could, makes the gas not that intimidating for enemies anymore. So the one thing I noticed is, if I'm placing gas and shooting the traps to buy some time for me to heal, and the enemies know I'm weak, they really don't care at all, and they'll just tank the damage from the gas, and they'll push me and they will kill me. When I made a tier list video, I put Caustic in B tier, and I think there are some really good things about him, but he definitely needs some tweaking, because right now, he's even more so than ever just a situational legend. Some other important tips and tricks for Caustic would be to always shoot your traps to activate them. If you think a good player may have line of sight on the trap, they're looking to defuse it, shoot that trap, activate it. It'll buy you some time to either heal, do whatever you need to do, or potentially just activate the trap and then you can pounce on them. If your traps get shot down, it still affects your cooldown as if you use the trap, so don't let them go to waste. And if you have some traps set up in an area but you and your team decide to move on, be sure to recall your traps. You can recall your trap by pressing X if you play on controller, and whatever keybind you have it set to if you play on mouse and keyboard. That way you will have all of your traps available for the next time you need them. The only helpful thing from leaving a trap behind is if it's potentially still in the zone and somebody hits it and you kind of know where they are and maybe which way they're heading. Another thing you may not have known is your caustic traps are shown on your minimap, and if you're ever not in line of sight of your traps and you know it didn't get activated but it's no longer on the minimap, then you can probably put 2 and 2 together and realize somebody shot it out. That way you're not relying on, oh well, my gas is there so I'll know if they come that way, but in reality your trap was diffused and you didn't know about it, and boom, surprise, somebody came from a way that you didn't think was possible. For Caustic's ultimate, make sure when you throw it at enemies, you're able to catch them while they are still in the gas. So don't Tom Brady that thing and think that they'll be still weak from the 10 to 15 damage that they took from it. Be close so that when you throw it at enemies, you're able to catch them while they're in the gas. And you can fry, okay. I can't even read, bro. What is wrong with me? And make sure you don't throw it right in front of somebody while they fry you, because it takes like a second or two of the animation of throwing the Nox gas grenade. And I have been beamed while doing that because I didn't think somebody had an angle on me, and they actually did. So don't die for just throwing your ultimate unless it's like a last-ditch effort to help your teammates. Now for what's next for Caustic. As I said in the beginning of the video, it looks like Caustic will be buffed, and if I had to guess, I think it'll probably happen in the mid-season patch update, which should be at the end of this month in June. Daniel Klein, the lead balancing dev over at Respawn, recently responded to the community regarding the Caustic nerf from Season 8 and what their plans are with him going forward. Here's what he said. Somebody asked him, can you please explain to me a little bit the impact that the gas nerf caused on Caustic? How different was his win-to-loss ratio? And he goes on to say Caustic's win-to-loss ratio was barely changed from the nerf because they believe that Caustic mains just stuck around. But what they did notice was that his pick rate went way down. So the people who didn't normally play Caustic gave up on Caustic because they didn't think he was good. But here's the big thing about this. They want to spend time thinking about the damage outputs that they could use on the gas. The goal is that people should be terrified of Caustic gas and they should try to leave it ASAP. And that's currently not the case. And we will fix it, no ETA as always. So in other words, they're trying to figure out how can they make Caustic gas really difficult for opponents to fight it. How can they make it so that they're terrified of the gas again? They don't just want to buff the damage because they don't think that that's a super healthy change. And honestly, that's what they did in Season 7. And then this is what resulted in the nerf. So hopefully they come up with something. And if they do something way out of left field and a lot changes with Caustic, then I will be sure to make a new Caustic guide once they update it. But for now, I'm assuming they'll probably up the damage a little and maybe alter something else minimal with the gas, but we will see. If you guys enjoyed this video and you're still watching, you got to ask yourself why you haven't subscribed yet. I post a ton of solid Apex content, and I think you would really enjoy more of my videos. Also, the last thing, if you enjoyed this video, please slap a like on it. It does help the YouTube algorithm out, and it helps push this video to more people. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next upload. Peace.